In the shadow of ongoing conflict, a quiet but powerful decision was made in the halls of power from Ottawa to Brussels to London. On a crisp August morning in 2025, finance ministers and diplomatic officials coordinated their watches across time zones, preparing to announce a move that would send ripples through global energy markets and strike directly at Moscow's war chest. The price cap for Russian oil would drop from $60 to $47.60 per barrel, a seemingly modest adjustment that carried the weight of geopolitical strategy and moral conviction. The story begins not with grand declarations or dramatic summit meetings, but with months of careful calculation behind closed doors. Canadian Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne had been in regular contact with his counterparts across the Atlantic, studying market data, war expenditures, and the delicate balance between applying pressure and avoiding economic chaos. The number $47.60 was not chosen arbitrarily. It represented the sweet spot where Western allies could maximize financial pressure on Russia, while ensuring global energy markets remained stable enough to avoid a backlash that could hurt their own economies. In Brussels, European Union officials had been the first to move, recognizing that Russia's ability to finance its military operations depended heavily on oil revenues flowing at profitable margins. The European Union's decision to lower the cap had been met with cautious approval from member states. But the real question was whether other major allies would follow suit. The answer came swiftly from London, where British officials announced their alignment with the European Union position, understanding that unity among Western allies would be crucial for the measure's effectiveness. Canada's decision to join this coalition represented more than mere diplomatic solidarity. As a major oil producer itself, Canada understood the intricacies of global energy markets better than most. The country's participation sent a clear message that even nations with significant energy sectors were willing to support measures that might create short-term market volatility for the sake of long-term geopolitical objectives. The nearly $13 reduction from the previous cap was designed to restrict Russia's war efforts against Ukraine, targeting the financial lifeline that had been sustaining military operations. The timing of the announcement was carefully orchestrated, as markets opened on a Friday morning. The coordinated statements from Ottawa, Brussels, and London created a unified front that spoke louder than any single nation's policy could. The message was clear: Western democracies remained committed to supporting Ukraine, not just with military aid and humanitarian assistance, but through sophisticated economic warfare that targeted the very foundations of Russia's ability to wage war. What made this particular price cap adjustment significant was its surgical precision. Previous sanctions had often been criticized for their broad scope and unintended consequences, but the oil price cap mechanism allowed allies to maintain access to Russian energy while simultaneously reducing the profits that Moscow could extract from these sales. The cap marked a significant shift in the international community's approach, moving from blunt instrument sanctions to more nuanced financial pressure that could be calibrated over time. Behind the technical details lay a human story of determination and strategic patience. Ukrainian officials had been quietly advocating for such measures, providing data on how oil revenues translated directly into military capabilities on the battlefield. Their arguments, backed by intelligence assessments from Western allies, painted a clear picture. Every dollar above the cap that Russia earned from oil sales was a dollar that could fund artillery shells, missile systems, and military logistics that prolonged the conflict. The decision also reflected a broader evolution in how democratic nations respond to authoritarian aggression in the 21st century. Rather than relying solely on traditional diplomatic protests or military deterrence, the oil price cap represented a new form of economic statecraft, one that required unprecedented coordination among allies and sophisticated understanding of global supply chains. It was economic warfare conducted with the precision of a surgeon rather than the bluntness of a sledgehammer. As the news spread through global financial centers, traders and analysts began recalculating the long-term implications. The $47.60 figure would take effect on specific dates, giving markets time to adjust while ensuring that the pressure on Russian revenues would be sustained and meaningful. Energy companies that had been navigating the complex web of sanctions and caps now had new parameters to work within, while Russian officials faced the reality of further reduced income from their most crucial export commodity. The coordinated move by Canada, the European Union, and the UK also highlighted a notable absence. Major allies like the United States and Japan had not yet joined this particular round of cap reductions, This created an interesting dynamic where some Western allies were pushing the envelope of economic pressure, while others maintained their existing positions, perhaps waiting to assess the market reaction before committing to further restrictions. The staggered approach suggested a carefully planned strategy, where different allies could apply pressure at different intervals, maintaining momentum while avoiding market shock that could undermine the entire effort. In the end, the decision to lower the Russian oil price cap to $47.60 represented more than a financial policy adjustment. It embodied the patient, methodical approach the democratic nations had adopted in their response to authoritarian aggression. Each dollar reduced from Russia's oil revenues was a small victory in a larger struggle, a testament to the power of allied coordination and the understanding that modern conflicts are won not just on battlefields, but in the complex intersection of energy markets, financial systems, and international solidarity. As this coordinated effort between Canada, the European Union, and the UK demonstrates, the strength of Western democracies lies not in any single action, but in their ability to unite behind principled policies that defend freedom and sovereignty. The $47.60 price cap is just one chapter in the ongoing story of how democratic values translate into concrete action on the world stage. These moments remind us why Western leadership matters. When allies stand together, they can reshape global dynamics without firing a shot, proving that economic resolve and moral clarity remain powerful forces in an uncertain world. If stories like this resonate with you, tales of Western solidarity, democratic resilience, and the strategic moves that shape our world, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Share this video with friends who appreciate how economic policy becomes geopolitical strategy, and let us know in the comments what other aspects of Western alliance building you would like us to explore. Because here at West is Best, we believe that understanding how democracies work together is not just news. It is the foundation of the free world we are all working to preserve.